Okay, welcome all to the meeting of the Dudley Board of Water and Sewer Commissioners, October 7th, 2020. Pursuant to Governor Baker's March 12th, 2020 orders suspending certain provisions of the Open Meeting Law, General Law, Chapter 30A, Section 20, and the Governor's executive orders imposing strict limitations on the number of people that may gather in one place, although a quorum of the members of the Dudley Board of Water Sewer Commissioners will be physically present for this meeting, no in-person attendance of members of the public will be permitted. The meeting will be live broadcast on Dudley Cable Access Television Channel 192, and members of the public can also access the meeting online via YouTube. In the event of an unanticipated interruption in the broadcast, we will post on the town's website an audio or video recording, transcript, or other comprehensive record of proceedings as soon as possible after the meeting. Members of the public who wish to appear before the board must make an appointment to appear on an upcoming agenda by contacting Jennifer Canoyer or by emailing watersewer@dudleyma.gov. Placement on the agenda is not guaranteed, however, and persons requesting to appear before the board should not attend a meeting in person unless and until the appointment has been confirmed by the board. Persons with matters appearing on a meeting agenda may request that they attend via virtual means, such as conference call, rather than via in-person attendance. Such requests should be directed to Jennifer Canoyer at 508-949-8007 or by emailing watersewer@dudleyma.gov, no more than 72 hours, not counting Saturdays, Sundays, or legal holidays, in advance, so that appropriate arrangements can be made. However, persons or representatives with matters appearing on the meeting notice and agenda who wish to be physically present at the meeting must observe the following requirements. 1, social distancing must be maintained in both the main meeting room and in satellite rooms. Face masks or coverings will be required in accordance with Governor Baker's May 1st, 2020 COVID-19 Order Number 31. Order requiring face coverings in public places where social distancing is not possible. A copy of the order can be found at www.mass.gov/doc/May 1, 2020 masks and face coverings/download. Failure to comply with these requirements may lead to an attendee's removal from the meeting. Be glad we don't have to read that anymore. In any case, okay, so those are the rules. We do have one person on conference call. The town treasurer collector, Rich Carmignani, is joining us virtually. And we do have a couple of attendees out in the, that are on the agenda. Let's start with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, meeting minutes from September 2nd, 2020. That was our regular monthly meeting.
Can make a motion to accept the minutes of September 2nd.
Second.
Okay, motion's been made and seconded. Any discussion? All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Unanimous. Okay, and the meeting minutes for September 30th, for last Wednesday.
I don't think we have those.
Should be attached to the first one. They're the last page of your stapled minutes.
Yeah, last page.
All right.
Page where it says September 2nd.
Oh, there we go, okay.
Very short meeting.
It says
That was a short
September
meeting.
30th. Yeah, that was just to award the bid last week.
Yep.
Chairman, make a motion to accept the minutes of September 30th.
Second.
Okay, motion's been made and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Unanimous. All right, 25AB Marshall Terrace. Permission to tie into water and sewer. 27?
Yeah, we just got notification from the assessor that it was reassigned to 27.
Yeah, it's actually 27 has been reassigned, and it's gonna be 27-1 and -2.
Okay. So, is this a new structure?
Yes. It's gonna be a side-by-side duplex, basically.
Okay,
So I'm trying to see if I can get 2 tie-ins. If I ever decide to sell it, I can sell each unit individually.
okay.
Yeah, Mr. Chairman?
Yep.
Yeah, on that subject, that was a good idea. Two separate
Yes.
water service, separate sewer service for billing and meter location, et cetera. We ran into that on a couple of the houses in the past where, remember that, George? One meter and they turned it into a duplex or a condo or something like that, so that's a good point.
Well, I guess it will be structured as a condo, if you will, because
Yeah,
it
yeah.
has to have 2 separate hookups for
Okay,
both water and sewer and electricity and gas and all that.
And that, through the building department, zoning and everything, that's a legal building
Yeah,
lot?
they all agree it's zoned properly, it's R10, they had no issues, so.
okay. George, any issues up in that area?
Just the sewer, we have to find out how that sewer runs, because it may be running laterally over to Prospect Way. So that's something we have to investigate. See
Prospect.
exactly, I'll have to look at where his lot is, and Mike and I have to look at the sewer, exactly how the sewer runs over there. I don't see any problems right now, but like I said, we
Okay.
have to go back in some archives and find out how that runs. Kinda irregular over there.
Okay,
So would I be able to find out what the actual place to hook it up to sewer and water is? Is it on the street?
Water's
Is it-
easy, the sewer's a little bit, might be a little bit harder, we'll have to look and see. I just don't know yet how, I'd have to look at your lot
Yep,
and see how that sewer runs over there.
okay.
okay, what's,
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion then.
how many, go ahead, make the motion.
I make a motion for 27 Marshall Terrace, permission to tie into, wow.
Oh, it's 27, they
37,
Issue
yeah, it's
27.
been changed, yeah.
Permission to tie into water and sewer, that they follow the town of Dudley guidelines and they stay in touch with the superintendent so he knows what's going on. And typically, there's a fee structure for that, Jen, in front, et cetera, and the fee structures be taken care of.
Motion been made, second, and motion made and seconded. How many,
Two separate,
Water
it-
and
it'll-
sewer.
water and sewer for each.
it'll be, okay.
One
And
each.
how many bedrooms?
Each unit will be 3 bedrooms, 2 baths, and a half bath. That's it.
Pretty standard.
About 1,530 square feet per unit.
All right, motion's been made and seconded. Any discussion? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Unanimous. Good luck, just keep us informed and,
Keep the
And,
superintendent, yeah, informed.
Thank you, I appreciate that.
the superintendent.
Thank you.
Okay, Jeff Faulkner, tie and bond.
Good evening. At your last meeting, you awarded the water main project to contractor Holic Water. We coordinated with them. They are in the process of developing the bonds and insurance for that project. We anticipate be able to get that to the town next Tuesday. And we've coordinated a pre-construction meeting with the contractor and the water department for next Wednesday at 9 o'clock in this room. I'll send out a note to people tomorrow on that. And at your last meeting, you asked for an amendment proposal for engineering services during the construction phase, so we submitted that. should have that in front of you for about $33,600 for engineering services during the construction. And that's with the part-time observation as discussed at the last meeting.
Okay, what's,
What are you thinking, George? I looked at that, we talked to Helen about it, I don't see any need for that, and those engineering services. I mean, they're gonna come up once in a blue moon checking here and there, but it's a straightforward main installation. It's not something that's,
The contract documents that went out to bid and submitted in Hollick has them making submittals to the engineer for the materials they're going to use, and we would then reply back to them officially for the record. The engineer runs the pre-construction meeting. It's pretty typical. You know, it is suggested, it is within the project appropriation. We make recommendations on the quantities installed for different materials and sign off on that, and we prepare record drawings in the end for the town's benefit. It makes it kind of like an official project at that point so that the town has a full set of records.
what's been our past practice? What have we normally done?
normally had one of our guys, which is me, on site, doing the ties and checking things and doing any kind of coordination with the contractor. Sometimes the engineer would come in once in a while and just pay a visit and see how things are going. It's not like it's a major main going in, it's just.
I know, yeah, I know, it's a fairly small project.
So, you know, I mean, that's a lot of money too. You wanna make sure we try to save as much as we possibly can. We're gonna be on scene anyway, we're gonna be assisting him on certain things. I've already had discussions with him, we've already went a pre-planned route, how we're gonna go with this. We found certain things there that we want to avoid and certain things with better routes to put the main, try to stay off the road as much as possible. It's not a big project, and it's pretty straightforward.
You can supervise this?
Oh, yeah. Tom is a great contractor. He's quick. He's been doing this longer than even I have, and he knows what he's doing. And I may even just be getting in his way sometimes. We've already had to talk about it. We already know how we want to avoid certain things, how we want to run it, how we want to go and run it into the station, so forth, so on. I really don't see the need for somebody in it for $33,000 to just, you know, write notes and, you know, I mean, if there's a problem, somebody can come on scene if they have an issue, talk with us once in a while, or look at things once in a while. Like I said, we're trying to save as much as we can on this project.
If I could just
Go ahead.
comment. If the board is not interested in the, any observation, there is a task that we can delete for any observation work, you know, as George seems to indicate that he can be doing in-house. But I'm not familiar with any town that does the full scope of submittal reviews. We've coordinated with this on multiple projects before. It's the documents are set up for an engineer to coordinate with the contractor on lots of different issues that, you know, the town isn't typically prepared to do.
How long are we talking for this project?
3 weeks.
3 weeks?
Weather permitting and everything going is good. Tom and I think we can get it done in 3 weeks or so. Give or take a day or two here.
So the task 5 is construction administration. That's essentially the office engineering and the meetings and the pay requests and the record plans. That's $22,800. And task 6 is construction observation, $10,800. So, you know, if the town is interested, the construction observation could be removed.
So, is there anything, I mean, does this all have to be certified by the state when it's done? The pipes and all of that? I don't, do we have to do anything with DEP or anything like that?
Well, DEP's gonna just want that main run. They're not gonna physically look at the whole thing, you know, they just wanna make sure we're connected in.
And this is also the blending water main. It's not just any water main. It does involve some coordination with the SCADA system and making sure that the blending component works as well from an engineering
That's the
perspective.
most delicate part is the blending side. Just the piping is piping, but blending it, just to make, you know, doing the testing part of it is what they're gonna wanna know, see how that works.
Would you be comfortable doing that?
No.
I would have the engineers just come in and supervise the blending part of it. 'Cause they have to anyway. It's a process I've never done. The SCADA system is something also that has to be put in to monitor it all and everything, so. I know the basic principle they're talking about, but we've never had any, how many towns do this kind of thing, so it's kind of a first for me. But everything else is straight lay of pipe. It's not anything different from what we always do. Just the final blending side of it is the delicate side.
Bob, have you done anything like this?
For a blending project? Not for PFAS, I mean, we've done it for other contaminants, but, it all depends, I mean, part of it is with treatment, you know, you gotta go through permits anyway, this isn't treatment, this is just blending. I think it'd be more imperative on the treatment plant side of it, if they design and they install a treatment plant, but.
I guess I'll just follow up. The other work that we're doing for you is the SRF work. That is going to definitely require
That will
this
require-
same type of similar scope.
Because it's SRF money, they
Yeah.
require certain things, whereas this wasn't done through SRF.
Yeah, I tend to agree that, you know, I mean, running the pipe, we've done projects like that over and over again. Not so concerned about that. My concern is the end of the pipe, and that everything is done.
That's going to be-
Where all the blending is done. That has to be,
That has to be coordinated.
Coordinated.
It's gonna be a process of trial and error on that one for a while to see how that blending is gonna work out. How we gonna turn one down, turn one up, vice versa, whatever, and sample and all that, so that's the main part where we're gonna need.
You said an engineer, you talking about a type bond?
Yeah,
Yeah.
they'd be involved.
What about a proposal just for that portion of it?
We can modify this to that, but I'll be honest with you, it is unusual for the engineer of the record for design not to be involved in meetings and pay requests and record drawings. Is a bit unusual.
Mr. Chairman, you kind of mentioned it, you know, we've done larger jobs ourselves with just having an employee on a job. This is kind of like a cut and dry, put the pipe in the ground. George knows is the ductile iron, the fittings, the type of material that you want in the ground. And my feeling is we should be able to handle something like that ourselves. And as far as the $33,600 goes, or a sum of money, that should be appropriated saved for any other future issue, such as, you know, if the treatment plan has to be done. I don't think we need anybody just taking pictures or watching while the backhoe's working, if we have people there.
Sort of redundant.
I would appropriate that 33,000 somewhat towards the final results. If we had to have engineering services for the final results once it's put online. And that could be, $5,000 to get us out of trouble, not 33,000.
yeah, cost is, you know, we've got a lot of spending coming up.
Yeah. That money could be appropriated for better use down the road. That's my feeling.
Okay,
It's up to the board.
so, any other comments or concerns? Can we coordinate something for, or get something for
Just the blending portion.
the blending, getting that part of it? I mean,
Yeah, I'll talk to George offline and we'll talk about what best his needs are,
okay.
and we'll get you something revised.
Okay. So as far as that, does anybody have a motion as far as that,
I think we
Engineering
should
then.
table this until we see what the proposal is for the blending.
okay,
Motion to do it in-house?
yeah, one way or another, what's the intention of the board for, so that we can codify what we're doing here?
So just to clarify, if you don't decide to move forward, that meeting that I mentioned for next Wednesday in this room, I wouldn't be here then.
Okay. But, okay.
George, you're familiar dealing with the contractor, one-on-one?
I've dealt with Howard, with the last project
Yeah.
we had with him, and then the others that we
He's
had.
very open.
He knows what he has to do. We looked at the plans, and this is not his first, second, or 100th rodeo. He's done it
Just,
thousands of times.
we need to be sure that everything is done that is supposed to be done. That's my only concern.
Are you looking for a motion to do it in the house, is that?
Yeah.
I'll make a motion that we table this proposal and that we ask Type 1 to come in with a proposal for the lasting part of the blending portion of the project only. Supervision be maintained by our own.
Okay. Motion's been made. Do we have a second?
I'll second it.
Motion's been made and seconded. Any further discussion? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Second, do you do pay requisitions and all that stuff?
As far as the,
Contractor requesting payment and
that would be going to our office, through our vouchers, same way as anything else.
And is that what you anticipated, 3 weeks?
3 to 4 weeks for construction, yeah.
Essentially, there'd only be one pay requisition anyway, right?
One for this year and then one for next year for final paving.
At the end of the project, we have to wait till we get to the final season.
To get the final paving done, yes. Where we're on a state road, we want to make sure that's done.
We'll be on the
correctly
state
so that
road
we
for,
don't-
we'll be on the state road for a portion, maybe a couple hundred feet, and then
Yep.
we're gonna try to keep it off as quick as possible.
We just want to make sure everything is done so that we're leaving it, the road in it is good, at least as good as it is now. Okay, motion's been made and seconded. Any further questions? Okay, call it to a vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Right.
Opposed? Okay, unanimous. All right. The PFAS improvements, Phase 2.
Yeah, so an update on that project. So the town submitted a grant application a few months ago to see if they could get reimbursement or grant money towards pilot study and preliminary engineering for a PFAS water treatment plant. Unfortunately, the grant did not come through, but there is going to be a second round of grants at some point in the future, date unknown. Same day that those grant announcements came out, the regulation for PFAS also came out, and it was at the expected number of 20 parts per trillion. So just under, or you are just over the the limit at the pump station number 3 site. In August, you also submitted an application to the SRF Grant Program, loan program, to get construction dollars for that treatment plant. We'll find out probably in the January timeframe if you made that list, but it is suspected you would make that list because it is a PFAS application which scores pretty well. The offer on those applications are a 0% interest loan, which is even better than the 2% interest loan for their standard offers. So that's an opportunity for the town. But in order to meet the deadlines, should that come to fruition, you would need to soon start the piloting stage of that project, essentially, this month, in order to get the piloting and preliminary design, and then eventually the final design to a 90% level for October of next year, in order to meet their construction deadline limits for that year's funding. You are at this point kind of on the leading edge of PFAS communities. With the new regulation, all communities are going to be having to test for it, and it's going to be found in some number of additional communities. So the fact that you are now aware of it and prepared to potentially go towards the piloting, it puts you a little closer to the top in terms of before there's another 30, 50, 100 towns that have to deal with similar situations, and you're competing against all of them for funds.
So this proposal that we have in front of us is for $178,500, and that's for the testing of different bench testing of
Yeah, it would
3 different
include
systems.
Coordinating with different vendors to get it tested, coordinating with DEP to get the pilot test approved. The site would be surveyed, and some preliminary engineering plans would be prepared.
Okay. And it looks like this is to have a preliminary design done by June.
Yeah, so you've seen this proposal before, but
Yep.
we modified it just because of the delay in
Yep.
the starting. So at this point, we're proposing to get the pilot study report submitted in June of next year, and preliminary design through June of next year. If that were to happen, then final design would be summer and fall of next year, and then construction would start the spring of 2022.
What's, any other question? What's the will of the board?
But this is also to maintain progression into maintain, also,
This is
loans and stuff,
$200,000.
and see how we're moving forward, because they could have, this is looking like it's going to go into a treatment type of
Oh,
situation.
absolutely.
I'm always hoping for the best, but the way things have been going.
I,
it's going the worst. So,
You know, with the codifying of the levels at 20 parts per trillion, we're on the hook.
yeah, I just want
The
to
hook
keep
is
us
set.
progressing as fast as we can while we're ahead of we're sort of like ahead of the stagecoach right now, just keep going and doing our thing and getting benefits from some of these grants that are out there.
In looking at the, and thank you, Jeff, for sending out this list of, this spreadsheet of costs and how it
Sure.
how it fits into what we've got approvals for 1.2 million in borrowing, and the interim water main and this particular proposal altogether isn't even hitting the million level. So we're in a pretty decent shape. We may not even have to do that second borrowing of 200,000. or if we have to, because of separating things out, I'm not sure. We'll talk to, Rich, you there?
Good evening.
Oh, thank you. Where we've got, have you seen the spread? Yeah, you were CC'd in on this.
I'm looking at it right now, Mr. Chairman. Thank you.
So,
There's two different, may I?
go ahead.
There's two different authorizations because there's two different projects. So for the first one is $1 million, the second one is 200,000, and you should be borrowing under the guise of each one
Okay.
as you need them.
So
So
that,
I agree we're not at 1.2 million, but you can't borrow 1 million under one.
and use it for both, yes.
Probably borrow your 200 and then the balance, or however that gets broken out, depending on the bid that comes back.
Okay, are we bound to borrow the $1 million, even though the projected cost is only $650,000?
No.
So we
We're not.
we borrow what we would do through short-term and long-term borrowing. We just borrow what we need.
Correct.
Okay.
So, for example, the number right now is 652, 531, 22.
Right.
For argument's sake, we
Actually,
round
less
it up
than
to
that.
660.
Yep.
You would borrow the 660 against the $1 million authorization. It would leave the balance of $340,000 for that project, authorized but unissued. At the next town meeting, you would go through and rescind that portion of the authorization, and things would go down to zero.
Okay.
So you're not bound to borrow anything more than you need up to the limit provided.
And then the piloting and preliminary design, the second part of it, we're authorized to borrow $200,000, and the
Right.
total is 185. So I mean, we're pretty close on that, anyways.
Right, absolutely.
Well, Mr. Chairman, you can subtract that 33,006 off of it.
Yeah.
so
Well,
we're
but we're
basically-
just
We're basically breaking 800,000, 805, 810, somewhere in that. That's with the work.
yes.
To go ahead, if we want to go ahead with the work.
Okay, yeah, so I understood that it would have to be two separate borrowings, but we're not, we're well below what we
Yeah,
were
well
originally
below.
projecting.
Well, I would, you got 48,000 there for contingency.
Mm-hmm.
I'd take some of that 33 and leave it in there for the contingency. If I was gonna borrow this, I'd borrow the 652.
Yep.
Only because you could end up,
Yeah, you never know what contingency is gonna
what
be.
contingency you're gonna have, and if you're talking about having to have somebody in for that blending portion, that's gonna cost you some money, so you don't,
Right.
I wouldn't take out the full 33.
No,
Yeah.
okay, thank you. So you need approval to continue with the piloting and preliminary design for PFAS treatment. Is that correct?
Yes, if you could vote on proceeding or not proceeding on the proposal for Phase 2.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman, a question to Jeff. I guess you could basically say, the cat's out of the bag now, our back's against the wall, the DEP, et cetera, et cetera. You basically have to go forward with this proposal and start looking for the future. Is that a good way of putting it?
This is now a mandate.
Yes. Now mandate.
If we delay any more, it's gonna
Yeah,
kick us
yeah.
back a year or so to get
I
back
think that's
on.
what I
It's just gonna cost more.
We'll lose out on those
The
possibilities.
writing's on the wall, it has to be done.
Yeah, that-
And you benefit from proactively doing it rather than being ordered to do it.
Right. That's, and with 0%
Yeah.
borrowing plus principal, some level of principal forgiveness, that's not a bad thing. We're gonna, if we're gonna have to do it anyways. But, okay, so, do we have a motion?
We're talking now about the phase two. I make a
Phase two,
motion.
yes. Phase
We
two
accept
proposal.
phase two as written.
Yeah, phase two proposal, it's in the pack.
I think it should be mentioned, tasks 1, 2, 3, and 4.
Right.
Correct, Jeff?
Yeah, the full proposal is
Task
task 1, 2, 3, and 4.
Task 4.
Yep, that's all,
178.5, right?
right.
Is there a motion on that, Mr.?
There has not been a motion yet. And with that 178.5, we've also got the $7,000 that's in on this, that's already, for the SRF application.
I make a,
We had to apply, the application that's already gone out, correct?
Yeah, that was due in August.
I'd make the motion be that we accept the phase two pilot and preliminary design project as written with tasks 1, 2, 3, and 4. And the cost of being $178,500 plus the $7,000 for a total of $185,500.
Okay, motion's been made. You have a second?
Second it.
We got a motion and a second. Any further discussion?
They have indicated that the grants will be retroactive?
Yes, so the way the grants would have worked anyway is you would have to pay it out of pocket first, and then you get reimbursed. If they do a second round, or when they do a second round, it'll still continue to be a reimbursement.
Well, that's how they always do it, but once you approve it and you're moving forward, often they won't give you a grant if you've already,
In this case, they
Paid
will.
forward.
The ones that did get approval are already in the construction phase primarily.
okay. Good.
Any other questions? Comments?
Second on that?
What's that?
Just
All
second.
set, Bob?
Motion's been made and seconded, yes.
Okay, no, all set.
Second, okay. Okay, yeah, I'll call it to a vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Abstention? Will do. It's unanimous.
I have no choice.
You gotta sign it, Scott.
Huh?
I think you gotta sign that.
That's what I'm doing.
He just gave you
Yep.
a clean copy, I think, for
Oh, you have a clean copy? Okay. Yeah, I did kind of
a
do it
clean
on the
color
front-
one.
front page, yeah. Oh, yeah, it's in color even.
Oh, you're scribbling on it. Ah, boy.
Scott? Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
we still need Rich?
Yes, we have, he's the next agenda item. Water, sewer. There we go. Okay. With that, anything else, any other, yeah, you've pretty much given us an update on everything that's
Yeah.
so far.
I'm good. If you have any questions, feel free to ask, but
On now, what's your involvement in the other SRF process?
yeah, so the other,
Is it Mason Road
yeah, the
Station One?
original SRF project.
Right.
There's two of them. There's the water and then there's the clean water.
Yep,
Those are in the 90% design phase area. Met with George this morning, talk about the pump station number 1 project. I met with the Board of Selectmen last Friday night. They authorized the town administrator to sign the paperwork, as we need to moving forward. We're going to start to make some submittals to the SRF program. They have a key date of October 16th to get some information in, but then through October, November, December, we'll get them all the information that they need, and they'll issue a project approval to go out to bid probably in January. So those 3 projects on the water side and the II project will be ready for construction next construction season, spring.
I know there's already been some work on Station One. the
Preliminary work on the actual well drilling, that's not part of the SRF, but it was
Okay.
assumed that that would be ready, once the SRF project begins.
Okay. Okay.
Just a question on that,
sure.
Mr. Chairman. Jeff, where do we stand on that SRF money allocation with the state? Where is that right now?
So the town meeting approved, I believe, 5.225 million, and that's for the construction phase only. So none of that's been expended yet. That won't be expended until the January timeframe of next year.
But
So-
has the state allocated any money for anyone else within the state on that SRS?
Yeah, so you made the list last, I think in January, February of this year. That's the set of projects that they approved. Multiple towns received project funding. So you're on the list. We call that on the list. But you have to hit key dates in order to stay on the list.
Oh, okay.
So this October, one key date you've already met was to appropriate the project at town meeting. So you did that in June. That's the 5.225 million appropriation. The next key date is October 16th. We submit some paperwork to the SRF. That's the beginning of what they call the loan application, even though it's not it's not bonds in actual dollars yet. It's really like more description of the project to them. And then next year, and I'll give a summary email on this to make sure Rich is fully aware. But next January is when the bonding council gets heavily involved and the dollars get spent or start to get spent.
Okay. Is there anything else from you? Or from Ty and Bond? Are there any
Good.
more questions for Ty and Bond, for Jeff? Nope. Okay.
Thank you.
You gave him a copy of that? Good. Awesome. All right, next is,
Mr. Chairman,
yep, go ahead.
so at one point, we'd want to put our finger on exactly what we want to borrow. And the way I understand it, there's going to be some change to PFAS Phase 1, that the board has already accepted PFAS Phase 2.
We just signed an agreement for some preliminary work on Phase 2, yes.
Okay,
Which is,
but Phase 1 is still up in the air.
Phase 1 is,
Phase one, we already authorized.
we already authorized, and actually, that's gonna be starting construction next week, or in the next couple weeks.
Okay, so we're in the ballpark of, I'm looking for a formal number to borrow off of each one. We have the 185.5.
Yeah, that's a good number, that's a set number.
And 652 maybe then, right?
Somewhere in the seven.
Yeah, and the
800,000.
Phase 1,
You wanna do the borrowing separate, so
Right.
one borrowing would be 185.5, and the other
Yes.
one, we just gotta decide if we want any contingency. And
actually, those two numbers there, the suggested contingency of 10% is 48.
That's just for the top one, is it 10%?
For the top, yes, and then there's engineering and planning, and still some permitting and bidding and all of that.
So I think if you went with an even 650, because you've already denied the 33.6, but you still
Yeah.
want to leave some in there just in case for the
Yeah,
end.
650, somewhere around
A
six,
little bit,
yeah,
somewhere
probably.
around- Yeah,
So I would
650?
say 650 would be a good
Yeah,
number.
650, that's a good number, yeah.
Are you hearing that, Rich?
I am, 185.5 and 650.
Right.
Excellent. And we're close on this. So if I went through and told the person at the bank to get this ball rolling, we probably have money 4, 5 weeks, 6 weeks, somewhere in that range. I'm not sure what the schedule looks like.
I think that's fine.
That's probably, that should be fine for the construction part of it. Actually, for,
Just
piloting,
just
that's,
for clarification.
right,
We're, we're not borrowing this in two parts. This would be a single issuance, combining the 650 and the 185.5.
right.
We'd go to market once and come up with our $800,000+, and we'd run it out to end of May 2021. We'd put it with the 900,000 that was already there, and we'd have a 1.7 million 10-year issue at some point in the spring.
10 years.
10 years.
Okay. Okay. So, yeah, okay, so that issue will go in, onto the, we'll start seeing that in the next budget, correct?
Correct. I don't know how tight of a number you're going to get, but we'll be able to give you a framework. It's very advantageous to borrow money right now. So, but that's the plan. Also, there's only going to be a single borrowing. This is not a $50 million project, you know, where there's a series of cash flows over 36 months of construction. You know, this is going to be done before we know it.
Yep.
So there really wasn't going to be like a half now, half in 30 more days. You know, just because the issuance cost, you know, it's going to make the most sense for you to go through, borrow all of this. And like I said, you're going to be making payments. You'll make an interest payment at the end of May, and then you'll have that bond come out along with the 900,000. So, sounds good.
Okay. Okay, so that's, and actually, that's your agenda item, actually, isn't it? Did you have anything else for us, Rich?
One little thing. At the FAA public hearing last night, there was $500 that goes into my budget. The Worcester Regional Retirement goes through and gives us an assessment. Part of that assessment is current employees. The other part is past employees, and the whole idea is to get the retirement system fully funded by 2038. The $500 is what they're charging right now for the actuarial valuation, where they go through and they take out water employees, sewer employees, and water sewer employees. Jen and George are special. You know, Mike Krachik is sewer, and, you know, Brian Dorval is just water. So they go through and they separate those things out. So we're going to continue to have, you know, a real pure number as far as what the assessment is. You know, this is person specific, so it's sort of takes all of the speculation out of anything other than, you know, you'll kind of have an idea of what's being owed. Along those lines, yeah, we wouldn't have that assessment number until January when those come out, but that would be for next year. So other than that, that's just about it.
Okay, anybody have any questions for the treasurer collector?
The information you were just discussing, does that include like OPEB? The other post-employment?
That's exactly what it was.
Okay,
One feeds into another.
right.
So OPEB in 30 seconds is, right now we've gone through and, you know, what's the most recent hire? Luke. Luke has become part of the water department. Technically, each year you should be putting money aside for his planned retirement, or at least the health insurance assigned to that. So in aggregate, the town has a giant liability of several $1 million, because that is all of the employees going to retirement and the expected payout over the course of their working and their retirement and their presumed death and their spouse's death, you know, what that's going to be. So the latest OPEB valuation has gone through and separated things out, very similar to the way the Worcester Regional Retirement System has set out. The only difference between the OPEB and the retirement system is that the retirement system mandates an assessment. So the first budget line that gets put in has to be the assessment from the retirement system. I mean, you know, the school would be in there and everything else like that, but, you know, it's $950,000, something along those lines. So we're compelled to put that money aside and to start saving for that future. The OPEB, there's no mandatory funding. This fall town meeting, they're going to put $10,000 in, which I think is a strong start, but not against the background that we owe several $1 million. That's a separate discussion. Probably too much for this evening, but I'm happy to revisit that at another point when enterprise funding comes up.
Okay. Did that answer your question?
Yep.
Okay. Okay, did you have anything else for us, Rich?
Nope, I wish you a good evening. Thank you very much.
Okay,
Thanks, Rich.
thank you.
Thank you for your help, Rich.
Take care.
Thanks, Rich.
Okay. Fine. We'll take it out of your pay.
It's okay.
She just told me that she forgot to put the water sewer report onto the agenda, but we get the, yeah.
You want to raise? What?
So, George, did everybody get a chance to review the superintendent's report? Okay, does anybody have any questions about anything on the the superintendent's report?
Just on the testing,
Oh, yeah, the 48-hour pump test at Station 1. What we did was, we pumped the Station 1, the 3 new wells, at 380 gallons per minute for 48-hour test period, okay? Now, the consideration was taken under the fact that we were in extreme, severe drought conditions, probably the worst we've seen anyway. And with the latest calculations that came back from Jay Billings at Northeast Geoscience, we passed the parameters for DEP as far as our pump test goes. Call it a C+ rating, okay? I'm not gonna go into the B-. What that means is that we had significant water. We did have a little bit of low recovery, but you gotta understand that there was a lot of recharge that had to happen. It's indirectly influenced and all that from, we get
Sure.
the pond there. Everything's way down. He also noted that, he feels that we'll keep our top end at 250 gallons per minute for the submittal to the state, which is what we're regulated for right now. We never back in the day pumped that with this tubular well fields at 250 gallons per minute. We kept it as our top end.
Yeah, we usually
We
about
were only down to
175, weren't we?
195, then we dropped and dropped and dropped till we couldn't drop anymore. So I'm very comfortable even, and we're looking at pumping that station if and when it comes online at 215 gallons per minute. 215.
15 or 50?
215, keeping that as an average pumpage, or even drop it down more. See how we do. It's going to be imperative that we try to get that station online as fast as possible, and I wish Jeff was still here, but that's okay. I had discussions today with Jeff and Cassandra from Ty and Bond, and I really kind of urged them that we need to move this at a fast pace. We're ahead of the game, but the SRF is going to hold us back a little bit in certain blockages of it that are required to take time. So he's estimating at the best, we might be able to get the station online by fall of 2021. Okay, I'm hoping in the early stages of fall, maybe getting from September into that time frame. My heavy hitting seasons is August into September because of all the schools coming back in hot temperatures.
Right.
I've been scared a lot about the hot temperatures we're constantly having right now. This is the second year we've had a lot of, 90 degrees constantly. We're taking a beating. My highest pumpage went up to 850,000 gallons, okay? I've been at 24 at a lot for the 2 stations. We've held our own. I haven't even called for any kind of moratorium or any type of water water restrictions. It really wouldn't do us any good anyway. We tried that one year and nobody really paid attention to it, so I just do the
Drive
best we
around
can to
and-
check around, make sure there's nothing leaking, tell people, the schools, they could try to conserve, but they all have conserving apparatus up there anyway for all their faucets and sinks or whatever. So, we're gonna see how we do as we get on through this. I am gonna talk to DEP a little bit and see if they can assist us a little bit with saying that we're trying to push things along a little bit as fast as possible.
We're gonna keep the pump, somewhere around 215.
The new pump, we're gonna start it off at 195, and then we're gonna
But
climb a
what are
little
we
bit.
asking the state for?
No, the state gives us a maximum pumpage to use. Anything under that, we can do whatever we want.
Okay,
It's 250, we're regulated for 250.
try to get as much as we can from them, not that we'll ever use it.
Well, the thing is, if you're gonna do that, then you're gonna put yourself in another whole level of problems and stuff. They're gonna require all these things, and right now, with what he's telling me and what he saw, he's comfortable with that rate right now.
250, all right.
Yeah, and that's plenty. That's gonna help immensely. So we're gonna be back better than we were before we previously had this problem, back before 2000. We used to pump 1 million gallons a day back when I first started here with 3 pumping stations. And with all our constant fixing of services and leaks and all that, we brought it to somewhere around 575 to 650 with 3 pumping stations. Then 2000 station 1 went offline, and it's been that way since. So we're down to 2 pumping stations. Now with Station 3's problems, we're not anywhere near where we could possibly be. So I'm gonna be very comfortable once that station's online. Once the new well is in at Station 3 pumping, we should be back to where we're supposed to be, as far as at least our production. Not for the state's liking, but for our liking. And then we can go on from there, but that's the way down the road. We also discussed this tank projects coming up. That's gonna require shutting some tanks down. It's doing one first. Bates tank was the one I chose to do first, the old tank. That's to completely shut it down for a week or 2 or more, go through the whole thing. So I told him it is imperative that the Station 1 is online when that happens, because that's not only directly gonna feed that area and bypass to go to the booster, it makes it a lot better and more palatable, because it also, if we backfeed, that station's gonna be imperative for kicking water up Mason Road and then backfeeding to the gravity side. So we're working on some things. There's possibility we might use a fire pumper truck or something to help out with pumping from hydrant to hydrant. Other little things, tanker truck maybe to come in to assist. We have an issue with a tank, but it's way down in the line right now. We're just worrying about what we have on our table right now. So right now, I was very happy and pleased that Station 1 came back the way it did. So I'm very happy to report that's one big hurdle right there. PFAS testing was conducted at that station alone with the MPA testing. That checks all the particles in the water and things. We had that done way back. We had the E. coli problem, but the state required us to do it again. So I'm waiting on those results, and then they're going to do all the stations, all PFAS for every well we have, and that's an agreement that we have now with free testing through the state and through UMass Amherst, who coordinates with the state on that, and they conduct those results and they analyze them. So that's a big savings right there. But later on, we're going to have to pick it up as we go into annual testing. That'll be us. after that.
I noticed you got, let's see, number 9 there. What's the status with getting the job classifications accepted?
Went very well. The town, I had a little, John was jabbing at me good, but I was jabbing back too, because they understand very well what I'm trying to present, because the lawyer was there for SEIU, and he was trying to understand why the sudden changes in job classifications. It finally got to him and to understand that this water department job has changed from 10 years ago all the way up, where other jobs basically have stayed the same. And it's gone to this part now, and that we really need to get these relisted for the state. So he got that understood. He finally understood after conversing on some matters here and there, what the guys do, why the changes, why they call them that, this and that, you know. So I think it went very well. I'm gonna be contacting the town administrator again to see how our progress is with the SEIU, see if we can get that nailed down pretty quick.
Okay.
Anything down the lane, the bargaining is gonna be coming up next year anyway, and things are gonna start changing. The key point to know is that these guys will be now water and sewer together. They'll be cross-trained, everything, including the new hire, which will be down the line. So they're gonna have to be, of course, compensated for that part of it, because they were just hired for water or for just sewer. Right now, they've been doing this anyway. They've been crossing job responsibilities, and that was also told to the attorney for the SEIU, that, it's not like they're just doing the same job they've always done. They're all doing sewer jobs, water jobs, chemicals, things like that, working together, doing any possible job necessary. So he understood that. So that's gonna be a key player in the whole thing, too.
All right.
There was something I wanted to.
Are we gonna be involved in that?
What's that?
Are we gonna be involved in that part of the compensation issue?
I'm sure down the line you guys will be involved in it, since it's been allowed before to have, myself also. They've had the commissioners or the superintendents involved in some of these negotiations down the line.
Never.
That's happened. They
Not as
did.
long as I've been on.
Highway Department was involved in one a while back that they were allowed to sit in on.
The highway department maybe, we've never,
Yeah, no,
it's
it's
been handed,
starting
here it
to,
is, and that's
yeah,
it.
no, it's starting to change, but they also
Okay.
need me or whatever information on things like that too, so,
Okay,
but that's a little down the line. We're taking baby steps to get this done right and correct.
Can we make a motion that we are involved in this one?
we can ask. The way it's done is the selectman / town administrator basically have to invite us. They don't have to, as I understand it. That's the way the union contract is negotiated by the Board of Selectmen. Town administrator.
Also I think you and I
But
talked.
yeah, I've had many discussions with different members of the Board of Selectmen, and we've talked that it's not acceptable that, here you go, pay for it, and we have no say. So one selectman in particular came right out and said, well, you want in it, you're in. So when contract negotiation time comes, we'll have to decide who we want to send in.
The other thing was that I wanted to mention,
Bob, you volunteer for that?
Doesn't matter to me, I'm fine.
Okay.
the other thing I wanted to mention is the town administrator, myself, and even Brian, is a good chance Brian's job's gonna come out of the union for a number of reasons. One is his position of title as being a foreman, which he'll be a foreman, is a supervisory position, overseeing guys too, so, along with like the highway, and they felt also that that would probably be looking like the better course of action to take with that position, which is, everybody seemed to agree on that. I mean, we discussed it too a while back. I think it's a better move myself. After that would be a secondary operator to Brian, in case Brian's out, would be Luke. And any new hire coming in will be, and we have to work this detail out still, but a new person coming in, we'd be requesting we'd be either requesting or demanding, I'm not sure yet, I'm talking to the attorney about it with the union. I want an operator, somebody who has a license. A T1 license would be the best, or I'll take a distribution, but I want somebody with a license to come.
We had that discussion a couple weeks ago.
Yeah, whether or not we can do it through the union or not, I'm working on that with him. I think it's possible. I'm not sure yet. We'll have to see, but it probably might look like an internal posting first through the union. If nobody has one like that, we may go into an employee posting, any employee in the town itself, and then after that, it branches off to an external posting. But like I said, that's down the road. We're not sure about
Okay.
that. Meeting with the Jericho Improvement Project is ongoing now. It looked like, and I'm not saying this is gonna happen, but we're narrowing it down to two sections of Jericho. One is Oxford Ave and one is Mill Street. Mill Street, especially for the sewer projects down there, because all those mains run in backyards and through the woods and all that stuff. So, we wanna see if we can get everything put into the road and done properly the way it should be. The water main is undersized coming in Mill Street, coming across from the other side of Central Ave. That should at least be an 8-inch coming over there. Things like that, and also Oxford Ave. I'm looking at the future further down. We had that 12-inch at Pine Street there, but that 6-inch Oxford Ave is undersized for that neighborhood. And if we were looking at an expansion further down towards Sunnyside or to an industrial park area, I want to see about extending that 12 and getting it out as far as we can push it. 6 inch Oxford Ave is undersized for that neighborhood. And if we were looking at an expansion further down towards Sunnyside or to an industrial park area, I want to see about extending that 12 and getting it out as far as we can push it. 6 inch because that whole area down the line is gonna need a new main. I've had talks with Dickie Andalevich on that too. He still, I think, is interested about doing something out there and would assist with some kind of project there with putting mains in. So, but that's the general area we're starting to get into, is that Village Street, Mill Street area. Even though we had the new main in there, the sewer part of it's a mess and it has to be corrected. So we're meeting with them regularly. I'm looking at, and I'll include the sewer on this too. And I talked to Jay this morning about it. It's not really on this, but we're gonna having heat issues with the garage because my furnace, my oil tank is leaking in my garage right now. They will not fill it up anymore because they say it's leaking. It's not that bad of anything. We have a containment area, so we've been physically dumping, getting diesel fuel to put in to keep it going. My plan is to change over the heating system in the sewer department because it's about 100 years old and it's not exactly the best shape, from a oil-fired to a heat pump type system that I've talked to Jay about a little bit and a few other people. And is also, National Grid is offering some free credits toward it come next year on a grant. I've been in contact with Sean McGowan over there, who's gave me a lot of that information. So I'd like to try to get it in winter if I could, but I don't think so. Springtime, I'm gonna just get through winter now and then start this in the springtime and that, because along with that project, we want to get that situation and take the tank out of that sewer department, which is a fairly new tank, put it in our water department garage and get rid of that old tank, and then we can finally hitch it to the outside and get deliveries and then remodel the furnace in there, keep it as what it is, not get crazy with it. Then take another type of heating system for their garage, which I have it in the report. We are going to blow the right wall out, the far wall out. So now we'll be backing in the trucks into that way. It's a long garage, but it's width-wise very short. So I said, let's blow the wall out and put an 18-foot door in there. We can back the trucks in the jetter, put some heat in there. Don't need a Morton building anymore. The other buildings are used for other storage of the trailers and things like that. So there are guys have been already pulling stuff out of there, finding all sorts of goodies that they never knew they had, like you do when you clean a thing out. So we'll be doing that soon. Any other questions on the water side of things? I have something more on the sewer side.
Just quick on the additional flow from pump one, does that fit within your water withdrawal permit?
On the additional up to 250, you mean, to the final?
Yeah.
That's what we are permitted for.
What
We've been permitted for that. We're just keeping with what we have. We never used it. We never gone that high with it. We never could. Or less when the station was first online, maybe we did, but that was before me.
Yeah, the tubular well filter would never support it.
Yeah. So we've already kept around 210, I think was the most we pumped out of that.
I know they cut a lot of people's withdrawal permits down.
Yeah.
From what you were capable of pumping down to.
That's correct. And like I said, we were hoping.
I'm saying, try to get as much as they'll allow, and then,
Yeah.
even if we're not gonna use it, then,
I just wanted to make sure that if we hit a certain number, that we didn't need to go get an increase in the Water Management Act permit.
Yeah, Jay and I talked about that. There would be some barriers to cross if we did that, but he feels right now with what he saw and what our, and even I thought maybe we got blindsided because of the fact we did this while we were in a drought situation. I said, what if we did this when we had, lots of rain and things like that? This results could have been different.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he says, but you also want, how much you really
No,
going to
you're-
realistically use out of
Right.
that station, so. But anyway, we'll get more as we go. That was just the preliminary stuff that he found, which
Okay.
at least I was happy about.
And then you're aware that you're probably gonna go from a T1 to a T2 once the PFAS treatment goes in.
That's what they're talking about right there. I'll be. But anyway, we're geared for that too. The big thing on the sewer, is there any other questions on the sewer, by the way, first? Anybody? I have one thing that I want to talk about, and that is the Eisenhower Drive situation. That, I explained, we did phase one of it. We are protected now from infiltration. We have all the electrical done, corrected now that they had, which wasn't done right. Everything is good. It's graded. It's level with the thing. We can service it, what have you. The problem is that the developer has not been in communication with us on to the second phase. Second phase, I had a meeting with the developer, with Mike, myself, the town administrator. I told them that I wanted something done in that, at least within after a 2-week time frame, due to the fact that one of the pumps is down. The electrician kept blowing the main because because something was wrong with one of the pumps. He believes the pump either is clogged up severely or it's just nothing left to it anymore, okay? This is what I was afraid of. So right now, that station's running with just one pump, okay? I asked the developer that we could get things rolling, get your contractor, or we'll get our guy, who was also at the meeting, and we'll also explain to him what had to be done. It was a price tag of like $17,000.
How much?
Rail system, everything that's needed to be done in it, and
How
two
much,
pumps.
George? I'm sorry, I didn't hear it.
17,000.
17,000. A universal rail system in case we decide to put different pumps in there. I wanted to make sure we were versatile. Get everything done that had to be done, including in the alarm situation, to upgrade to a mission possibly for our, comparable to our systems. We would chip in on that, and I would even chip in a little bit on a pump because of the fact of usage of the pumps, you know, and all that. He said yes, 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 yes. Then Bill Scanlon, myself, were in communication, and he's like the liaison to the developer. Says the developer has not come back to him, not come back to him, not come back to him. I says, okay, I've had enough of this. I says, I want to know two things. I want to know how much is left in the bond money, and if I can tap in the rest of the bond money. And if I can, I will put a second pump in that station. And it's not going to be a pleasant way to do it, but at least it'll guarantee two pumps working in there, and it'll buy us a lot of time. The rest of it will be up to the attorneys of the town to go after him, because we have everything on the project diagrams of what was supposed to be put in there. That would mean going after him legally for the rest of the job, along with the development itself. I told Mr. Scanlon, listen, we're gonna get this accepted. Everything has to be done per the spec that was supposed to. Plus, you've got the road still not finished off either. So there may be in a coordination to do both, and they may do something else. So that is the game plan. I'm waiting on just those things. I did talk to the town administrator. He's aware of it. He's checking with council on it too. All I need to do is make sure that I am able to get to the remaining funds in that bond money. Once I get that, we'll go down and physically have to drop somebody in the hole and take the pump and find out what's going on with the pump and determine that we have to replace it, rebuild it, or something just fluky happened to it.
George, on that
Make sure it's
subject,
all done right.
you've already attacked that bond once for payment, haven't you?
We've attacked it a couple times.
Yeah.
First
Is
time
there-
was back when I was in acting superintendent a couple of years back.
Is there enough money
There's
left
an-
in that bond to cover this job?
Yes, there should be enough money to at least do the pump work that needs to be done for at least $5,000 or $6,000
You know,
bucks. There should be enough in that bond money to
I
take care of it.
thought of like certified mail or something like that, but you gotta stop playing hardball with that guy now, so it's like I say, you can attach the bond, grab it.
That's the law. Yeah.
I've been doing all sorts of things with him. We've been trying, Bill's been great and he's been in contact with him a lot. But we keep getting this smiley runaround as we get into things, and I just can't.
How's our legal line item?
We used to put $10,000 in for legal.
Yeah,
But we haven't,
okay, I mean,
I haven't gotten a bill, we just sent
through
something.
the
yeah.
town administrator and town council,
Yeah.
just do what you have to do to get it done.
All I need is a confirmation of those, if I can take it. And I believe they voted on it at a planning board meeting that I am allowed to take it. I have to confirm that and just confirm the amount. I think there's plenty of money to just do the pump work. And that way there, because if we end up losing both pumps, you're gonna be pumping that every day. It's just gonna be a nightmare. They're gonna be going after everybody, the neighborhood will say, who's responsible, blah, blah, blah. I don't need that.
We'll have to just make sure it's done legally, that's all.
No. So that's it on the suicide.
Okay. Any other question, anything else? I shouldn't ask that question of you. You're another hour.
No.
Nope, we all set?
Yeah.
Okay, good.
Get a break.
The board member comments. There's no public, so, Tom?
Nope, all set.
Okay,
All set.
Bill? Good. Bob?
Also,
Jen?
I need a motion. Jen? Yes.
Jen's on probation.
Everything's back to normal? Cool,
can breathe again?
okay,
I haven't let my guard down yet.
okay,
Motion to adjourn. Second.
okay, all in favor?
Uh,
Opposed? If you're opposed, you can sit here by yourself. Adjourned.